The number of road accidents recorded in a given period was as follows. A. Using the group intervals 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and so on, prepare a group frequency distribution table for the data. Solution for question 12A. For the frequency distribution table, we need one column for the number of accidents or class intervals, and another column for the number of days or frequency. So, for the interval 0 to 2, we have the corresponding number of days to be 38. That is 20 plus 10 plus 8. The next interval is 3 to 5 with frequency of 7 plus 5 plus 3, which is 15. Next is 6 to 8 with a corresponding frequency of 8. That is 3 plus 5, and so on. So we have the total number of frequency or sum of F to be 80. Question 12B. Construct a cumulative frequency table. And here is the solution to question 12B. We have our frequency distribution table here. For the cumulative frequency table, we need to add two more columns, one for the class boundary and the other for the cumulative frequency. The difference between the upper and lower class limits of two consecutive class intervals is 1, and half of 1 is half. Therefore, to obtain the class boundaries, we will deduct 0.5 from the lower class limits and add 0.5 to the upper class limits. So for the class interval 0 to 2, we have the class boundary to be negative 0.5 to 2.5. Also, for the class interval 3 to 5, we have the class boundary to be 2.5 to 5.5. And for the class interval 6 to 8, we have the class boundary to be 5.5 to 8.5. And so on. We will now calculate the cumulative frequency of each class by summing up the frequency of that class and the cumulative frequency of the preceding class. So for the first class, we have the frequency to be 38, and there is no preceding class. Therefore, the cumulative frequency for that class is 38. The next class has a frequency of 15, and the cumulative frequency of the preceding class is 38. Therefore, the cumulative frequency for that class is 15 plus 38, which is 53. So adding this 53 to the frequency of the next class, which is 8, we have 61 for that class, and so on. Note that the last cumulative frequency should always be equal to the total frequency. as observed on the table. Question 12C. Draw a cumulative frequency curve. Solution. Here is our graph sheet with the class less than or number of accidents on the horizontal axis and the cumulative frequencies on the vertical axis. The class less than is simply the upper class boundary. For negative 0.5, we have a cumulative frequency of 0. Therefore, the point will be here. 2.5 also has a cumulative frequency of 38. So our point will be here. We also have 5.5 with a cumulative frequency of 53. So our next point will be here, and so on. Now, let's draw a smooth curve through all points. Here is our cumulative frequency curve. Question 12D. Use the cumulative frequency curve to estimate the I, median, II, upper quartile. Solution. The median corresponds to half of the total frequency. The total frequency is 80. Therefore, the median corresponds to half of 80, which is 40. To know the exact value, let's trace 40 from the vertical axis to touch the curve and trace downward to the horizontal axis, and then read off the corresponding value. This is about 2.8. Hence, the median is 2.8. II says we should estimate the upper quartile. The upper or third quartile corresponds to 3/4 of the total frequency. In this case, 3/4 of 80, which is 60. Again, let's trace 60 from the vertical axis to touch the curve and trace downward to the horizontal axis and read the corresponding value. This is about 8.2. Hence, the upper quartile is 8.2.